All right, family, this is our father, Richard Henry Hart the First, whom I'm named after. Thank you very much. I was his favorite son, obviously, because he named me after him. Obviously. But we're going to record Dad talking about his military service and his mission service and when he met Grandma. But my daughter, Jaden, really wants to know this, so I thought I would just record Dad instead of trying to type it all out. So, Daddy, talk about first your service in the military and where you grew up.
You want to know about my military service?
Yeah, start with, tell us about where you're from, kind of where you grew up.
Oh, I grew up in Bountiful, Utah.
And what was it like in Bountiful, Daddy?
Well, it was a small town in those days, and the farmers came in with horse and buggies still.
Oh, wow.
Downtown Bountiful.
Were there any cars?
They had a hitching rail right downtown Bountiful for the horses to be tied up to.
Oh, wow. Like the good old Westerns. Now, did John Wayne come across the trail, Daddy?
Wouldn't have surprised me if he had.
Did you now? Bountiful is about, 20 miles north of Salt Lake, right?
Well, it's not 20 miles.
About 10 miles?
Yeah, about
10 miles north of Salt Lake. And what kind of home did you live in?
Well, it was a frame home. I had a full basement, and it just was typical home of those days.
Right. Now, you didn't live in the house that Grandma and Grandpa lived in when I knew them, right? That house.
I never lived in that house.
You never lived in that house.
No.
The one with the thing in the back, the big gazebo and stuff. You didn't live in that house.
No.
Okay. And so, where were you born?
Well, I was born in the St. Mark's Hospital in Salt Lake City.
You weren't born in a berry patch?
No.
With Bear and Bear Rabbit?
No.
you weren't born there? And so and what house did you live in?
The house on 195 East Center Street.
Okay. And did you live there with your other siblings or just by yourself with Grandma and Grandpa?
Oh, my other siblings were there too.
Okay. So they were all born in that house, that same house?
Well, they were raised in that house. They weren't born in it.
Okay. You were raised there, and then where did you go to high school? Did you go to Davis High School?
Yes.
Davis High.
At that time, there was only one high school for the whole county.
Really?
All of Davis County students went to one high school.
That's probably about 5 or 6 high schools now in that county,
Oh,
or
imagine,
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play sports in high school, Daddy?
Pardon?
Did you play sports in high school?
Yes, I went out for football.
Okay. Did you like it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And was Davis good in football?
Pardon?
Was Davis good in football?
Davis?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Were they? Did you wear like leather helmets or were they hard plastic? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Because
I don't think they were hard plastic though, but I can't remember for sure.
Remember? Yeah. I think that's why you all were brain dead, because you all had leather helmets on. That might be the cause. That explains a lot about our father. He didn't have a helmet on when he played football. And were you a good student, Daddy?
Pardon?
Were you a good student? Were you a good student?
Was I a good student?
Yeah.
Well, I was a A and B.
A-B student. And what was your favorite subjects?
Oh, mathematics.
That sounds awful. Vern cheered for that one. Yeah. So when you graduated from high school, did you have a girlfriend in high school, Daddy?
I did have a girlfriend in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
When was the first time you were kissed? Or did you kiss them? When was it? Who was your first girlfriend? Do you remember?
Yes, her name was Maureen Weiniger.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good memory, Daddy. You can't remember what happened 10 minutes ago, but you can remember her? Oh, I'm telling Grandma when I get to heaven, man, you are in trouble. Good night. And so, was she a blonde?
No.
No, Dad, what's going on? I thought you only loved blondes.
I was all mixed up.
I'm so confused. Now, did you kiss her?
Oh, if I remember right, yes, I did.
Oh, wow. And how old were you when you got your first kiss, Daddy?
16, I think.
Oh, man, you were a ladies' man. Good night. No wonder why you had 9 kids. Good night. It started early. 16. I'm blaming Dad for all my problems. Yeah. So when you graduated from high school, what did you do?
Well, first of all, I joined the Navy when I was just halfway through my senior year. So I didn't actually walk across the stage, but they gave me high school graduation certificate because I joined the Navy.
You joined the Navy when you were 17.
That's right.
How old were you when Pearl Harbor happened?
14,
Is that 42?
41,
41.
December 7th, 41.
That's right, December 2nd, 41. And you were 14.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What did you think about that day?
Oh,
Was it
I
scary,
quite
or-
surprised. Yeah, I had no idea really what was going on out there in the world. I was too busy. This is my own little life.
Trying to
and,
live and survive. How soon did you get the news? Because it's not like today where we have Twitter and Facebook, and I mean, we get information
but
instantly.
We still had radio.
So you got it pretty quick then.
News radio, yeah.
Right.
So we got the news right away.
Okay. And then, did you think we were going to be in a big war with Japan at that time, or?
I wasn't old enough at that time to really understand fully what was going on. But,
Were we fighting Germany at the same time or not?
yes,
We were.
yes.
Okay. So when you were 17, you joined the Navy voluntarily. Were your other friends doing the same thing?
I don't know. I had no close friends at that time that joined the service. No,
Right.
I went in alone.
And what did you do? Did you stay in Salt Lake City, or did you go somewhere for military training?
Oh, when I joined the Navy at that time, they had a boot camp in San Diego,
Oh,
and that's where I went.
okay.
I went to San Diego the first time in my life. I was out of the state of Utah.
First time in your life. You've never been out of the state of Utah.
I'd go down to San Diego in the middle of the winter when it's snow and cold. It was February when I did this. Go down.
So you hadn't even graduated from high school yet.
Well, no, but they gave me a diploma.
You were 17 when you went to the Navy.
Yes.
That's crazy, Father.
And I went to San Diego, and here the sun was shining, the flowers were blooming. It was February, and I couldn't believe my eyes.
Palm trees and warm.
Right.
Is this a different world?
A different world.
Oh my goodness! Did you fly there, Daddy, or did you take a train, or how did you get there? Do you remember?
Oh, train.
It was a train. Tell me about boot camp. What was it like? Do you remember?
Oh, it was just typical, you know. Well, we marched, we cleaned the barracks, we did all kinds of projects. I was a good swimmer. I had swimming and life-saving merit badges when I was a scout. I was
you're
a good
Eagle
swimmer.
Scout, Daddy,
I
right?
was a good swimmer.
You're Eagle Scout, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you get there. Were you afraid that you may? I mean, did you know that young men were dying all over the place, and young men were dying in Japan and dying in the islands?
I knew that in the back of my mind, but it wasn't really something that
you thought about.
I thought much about. You know.
Right. Because now we see these movies and these documentaries where these young men are just dying by the thousands in these islands in the Pacific and in the Philippines and boy, Dad, that's pretty impressive that you were able to have the courage to go and fight for our freedoms, and fight not only for our freedoms but for the freedom of everybody around the world.
Yeah, I was determined to get involved in the military.
Wow. So, did you like boot camp, or was it hard?
No, it was. I kind of enjoyed it. There were swimming exercises and other kinds of exercises that I kind of enjoyed the exercises, and boot camp was just a good experience for me. I never had any problems with it.
Did you know what you were going to do when you went there, or did they kind of say, "Hey, these kids are going to be soldiers or foot soldiers and fight"? Did you have a choice of what you wanted to do?
I had some choice in the Navy. Yes,
okay,
I did.
And you chose to do what, Daddy?
Well, I wanted to be. I forget.
An electrician's mate?
Well, that's what I chose to be.
Right.
An electrician's mate. Yeah.
But did you want to do something else prior to that, or?
Yeah, well, I forget exactly what I wanted to do. But I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do in the Navy, right. So I chose being an electrician's mate.
Oh, good. And so what does that mean? What is exactly as an electrician's mate? What were you doing?
Well, of course, I was trained to be an electrician's mate on board ship, and that's different than
Oh
than
yeah.
life on land. Of
Oh
course.
yeah.
And
I'm
so,
guessing I'm guessing the patterns of electricity is different on a ship in the water.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did just fine. Uh, I went to electrician's mate school in Mississippi. Uh, I was right near the coast, the Gulf Coast in Mississippi when I took my training.
Well, Dad, you went from being in Bountiful, Utah your whole life,
Yeah, I had
and
never
going
been
to
out,
San
I'd
Diego,
never been out of the state of Utah.
going to San Diego, and then going to Mississippi. Had you seen a black person before in your life?
No.
There were no black people in Bountiful.
Oh no.
No, and so I mean Mississippi. There's no white people in Mississippi.
Not quite that
Not
bad.
quite that bad. You're like, what's going on here? So, so when where were you, Daddy, when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and is it Nagasaki?
They dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. I was training to be an electrician's mate on board ship, and I was in
You in Mississippi?
I was in Mississippi, Gulfport.
And when that happened, what did they tell you, Daddy? Do you remember what they told you? I mean, was the war basically over at that time, or because Japan kind of surrendered after that, didn't they? Pretty quickly.
Yes, we surrendered immediately, and they dropped the second bomb. I think they did.
The second bomb.
The second bomb. Then
Was-
it was all over.
Were we still fighting Germany, or was that over?
Still, no, we're still fighting Germany.
Full fighting Germany.
No, wait a minute.
I can't
When
remember.
they dropped the bomb on Japan, the war was over in Germany.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So now the war's over. Are you still in Mississippi then, at this time?
Yes.
Or were you out? Did you ever get time to get out on the water in the ship and sail?
When I was in the Navy, yes, but I didn't sail from Mississippi. I sailed out of San Diego.
So you went back to San Diego,
Yeah.
and then did you sail to Hawaii? Is that what you did?
Well, the first, I got on board ship, and the ship went from San Diego to Pearl Harbor to pick up some Marines that wanted to go back. See, our ship was we could haul a company of Marines
Oh, okay.
on board our ship, and
Right.
we brought a company back from Pearl Harbor to San Diego. Then we went down through the Panama Canal. So we went through the Panama
Oh, wow.
Canal.
Was it a big ship you were on, Daddy?
Well,
Do you remember?
the ship is picture of it is right in there on the tape.
Oh, really? Of your ship?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. That's a pretty cool picture, Daddy. I'll have to show that to everybody. Look at that. That's a picture
That's the ship I was on.
of Daddy's ship he was on. That's cool. So I can see those big gunners up front, Daddy. So you had some big guns on your ship.
Well, they weren't big guns. They were 5-inch.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Was it fun being on the ship? Did you get seasick at all, or?
Oh yes, the first day I was on board ship, we left San Diego to go to Pearl Harbor, and the first day I got seasick. But after that, I didn't have had any more trouble.
Now, did your fellow servicemen give you a hard time about getting sick?
Oh, I don't remember that,
Oh,
whether
okay.
they did or not.
Oh, okay. So now, when did you finish your service in the Navy?
Where did I finish it?
Yeah, when did you finish?
Charleston, California. Charleston, North
Carolina? Oh, okay. So you went to the Panama Canal and then came around to
I got to the
East
Brooklyn
Coast.
Navy Yard, then we went back down to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. You've been everywhere, Daddy.
Yeah, and then we spent that summer down in the Caribbean, working out of Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, wow. Did you still have any fear that the Japanese could attack again? Were you nervous, or was it pretty calm on the ship?
Always calm on board ship.
Yeah.
They dropped the bomb on Japan.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So how many years did you serve in the Navy?
I was in the Navy not quite 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. So when you came back, what was it like coming back to Bountiful?
Well, I was a veteran, and
And you were 19, right? At this
Pardon?
time, you were 19?
I guess it was.
Daddy, most kids now are still in high school at 19.
Yeah,
You had already served 2 years in the military
yeah.
at 19.
Yeah.
That's just crazy, Dad. My son Carson is turning 17 this year, and he'd be going in the service. I just can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you came home, and then what did you do when you got home?
I went to the University of Utah.
Boo! 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 Wow, that's terrible. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive you for that, Father.
And then at that time, you had to be 22 to serve a mission.
Right.
So when
22. Is that because the kids were in the service?
Pardon?
Is that because the kids were in the service, or they always had to be 22?
Well, everybody had to be 22 to serve in the mission field. I don't know why
Wow.
that was the
Okay.
rule at that time, and I'm
Okay.
not sure if I know all the reasons why that was the case.
Right.
So I came back and enrolled in the University of Utah
Okay.
and wore red.
Ugh. Jeez, I'm gonna vomit.
And then at that time, you had to be 22 to go on a mission.
Wow.
And so when I was turned 22, I was called to serve a mission.
Did they call you to serve, or did you volunteer?
Well, they called me to serve. I didn't volunteer because I didn't have the money,
Right.
and I had to depend upon my parents to support me in the mission field,
Right.
and they were willing to do that.
So did you how many years at the University of Utah did you go to before your mission?
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I remember right, it was 1
Okay.
year.
1 year. Okay. And then they call you to go on a mission.
Pardon?
So they called you to go on a mission.
Yeah.
And do you remember how you got your call?
Pardon?
How did you get your call?
In those days, the church was much smaller than it is today overall. And I was actually interviewed by a general authority to go on my mission. Levi
Really?
Edgar Young, who was a member of the first president of 70,
Oh,
one of
wow.
the 7 presidents of 70, interviewed me for my mission.
Wow.
And Ezra Taft Benson also interviewed me.
Ezra Taft Benson.
And he was an apostle at that time. And he interviewed me before I went on my mission and wanted to know if I wanted to become a 70. And I told him, no, I want to stay an elder.
Oh, wow.
They would have made a 70 out of me. Back in those days, see, there were 70s quorums in the
Oh, that's
States.
right. Yeah, I remember. How long ago, Dad, did they stop doing the 70s? About 10 years ago, or 15,
It's been
20?
longer than that,
Maybe 20
I
years
think.
ago?
But at that time, there were 70s quorums, yeah.
Okay. And so they call you to go on a mission. And what mission did they call you to?
North Central States is what it was called at that time. It was Minnesota up to Winnipeg, Canada. Then it included North and South Dakota and the eastern part of Montana. That was
Oh,
all
wow.
one mission.
That's huge.
And they sent me to, oh boy, what's the...
Was there an MTC?
What is the big city in Minnesota?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. That was sent me to Minneapolis. And I was only there for, maybe a month.
Was there a training center anywhere in Utah where you got trained?
Pardon?
Did you get trained at all, Daddy, in Utah somewhere, like in Salt Lake, or?
Oh, yeah, there was a mission home in Salt Lake.
And then you went there for a couple of weeks and trained you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they sent me straight to Minneapolis. But they only worked out of Minneapolis for about a month, and then they sent me up to Duluth.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I met your mother.
So that was the first. So tell me about the first day. Do you remember the first day you saw this beautiful, cute blonde?
Yeah.
16-year-old?
Went to, it must not have been more than a month. I served in Minneapolis. They sent me up to Duluth, and they left me up there for 15 months. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And the first time I saw your mother, she was 16 years old, young lady. And of course, I was on a mission, so all I could do was look, but I thought, gee, best looking gal I've ever seen.
Especially after being on a Navy ship for 2 years. You're like, ah! I'm surprised you behaved yourself. That's impressive.
Anyway, her father was the branch president. They didn't live in Duluth. They lived out in the country, about 10 miles out in the country from Duluth.
Was it the same home that I visited when I was a young man? That yellow house?
Yes.
Same house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And her father, even though he lived out in the country, he was the branch president for the Duluth branch. And of course, I was a missionary, and I was set up. This is crazy. I was about a month in Minneapolis, then they sent me up to Duluth, and I was up there for 15 months.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Did you enjoy your time in Duluth?
Pardon?
Did you like Duluth?
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially because there was a cute 16-year-old Arlene Peterson there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of success in Duluth? Did you baptize some people?
I'm sorry.
Did you baptize some people, Daddy, in Duluth?
I can't remember if we made any baptisms. Back in those days, there were not many baptisms, and the members of the church were scattered few and far between in that area.
I bet.
At that time. Yeah.
Right. Well, Daddy, I don't know if you remember the story, but when I was a bishop at BYU, one of the kids that I helped get worthy to go on a mission, to get prepared to go on a mission, he lived in Duluth. And his father called me and thanked me for helping his son get on a mission. And I asked him where he was from. He said, Duluth, Minnesota. I said, oh, my mom's from Duluth. And he said, well, what's her name? And I said, Arlene Peterson. He said, Bud Peterson baptized me in the church when I was a young man. Is that crazy? I said, that's my uncle. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
So when you left Duluth, where'd you go? I mean, were you like, okay, I gotta write this girl, or I want to keep in touch with this cute little Arlene. What did you do?
Well, they sent me from Duluth down in South Dakota. In fact, down right on the borderline. Is it the Missouri?
Yeah.
The Missouri. I was right on the Missouri River. I finished up my mission in South Dakota.
Did you enjoy it up there?
Pardon?
Did you enjoy South Dakota?
Oh, sure.
It's beautiful up there. How close were you to Mount Rushmore?
Oh, I wasn't near Mount Rushmore.
Oh, you weren't?
It was in the southern part of the state.
Oh, okay.
And, western part of the state.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the
Eastern part?
eastern and
Right.
southern part, yeah.
Right. Was it still by the Black Hills? Were you still close to was it mountainous? What was the landscape like?
Where I was serving in South Dakota, it was flat.
Oh, it was flat? Oh, okay. Okay. And then, so how did you have much, did you like your companions, Daddy, on your mission?
Pardon?
Did you enjoy your companions on your mission?
Oh, I had good companions.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's great. Were there many sister missionaries in the mission field?
Oh, sure.
Oh, were there? Oh, okay. That's great. So now when you got released, what happened? Did you fly back home or get on a train, or?
We rode the train.
You rode the train back home.
Yeah.
Were you excited to get home and get started on your life?
Yeah, when I got home, I was very willing to go on with my life.
So now, tell me about Grandma and how that all happened. How did you go back, and when did you go back?
Her father was branch president in Duluth.
Right.
And even though they lived out in the country, he was the branch president, and the members of the church were few and far between in those days.
Right.
Especially in northern Minnesota.
Oh yeah. So when you came home, Daddy, did you write Mom on your mission while you were serving? Did you
Yes,
write?
I did.
You did. Okay. So Grandma knew you were digging on her.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. So when you came home, when did you go back? I mean, did Grandma know that you loved her and that you wanted to marry her, or how did that happen?
In those days, it was not against the rules to communicate by letter with missionaries, with members of the church, and so
Right.
I wrote to your mother after I was transferred out of Duluth,
Right.
and whatever romance we had, it was actually carried on in the mails.
Oh, that's great.
I want you to know, write a good love letter.
Oh, I bet you do. I bet you do, Daddy. Yeah. What? So when you came home, how long did you wait to get back to Minnesota and ask Grandma to marry you?
Well, the thing is, the situation was very different as far as missionary work and release and all that is concerned in those days. I was actually released in the mission field. And, I went with the permission of the mission president back up to see your mother.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then what happened?
Well,
Did you lay a big kiss on her?
pardon?
Did you lay a big kiss on her?
Oh, yes. I proposed to her.
Oh, you proposed to her?
Yeah,
Right then and there.
yeah.
You were just barely got released from a mission.
Pardon?
Had you been on a date yet with Grandma?
Oh, no.
That is awesome, Dad. You hadn't been on a date. You asked her to marry you. That's awesome. Man, you are Don Juan, Daddy. Good night.
Anyway.
And she said yes.
Pardon?
And she said yes.
She did.
And she did.
Yeah.
And then when did she come to Utah and how did that all happen?
Well, she came after I was released. I had proposed to her in the mission field. And then after I was released, she came out to Salt Lake and we were married in the temple.
Oh, wow.
Sealed in the Salt Lake temple.
How long after you asked her to marry you, Dad, did you guys get sealed?
Pardon?
How long was it from the time that you asked her to marry you to the time that you got sealed? How long was that?
To the time I got what?
And from the time you got married, how long was that? From the time you asked her to marry you in Minnesota, from the time that you got sealed in the temple, how long was that?
Oh,
Do you remember?
I don't remember how long that was. It must have just been a matter of months, I don't think.
Okay.
I'm having a little trouble with the time on this.
And then when you got married in the Salt Lake Temple.
Yeah.
And where did you guys move? Did you move back to Bountiful or did you live in Salt Lake?
No, we never lived in Salt Lake.
Never lived in Salt Lake.
No, we lived in Bountiful.
But you commuted to the University of Utah and went to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did Mom work? Did she have a job when you were married?
She didn't have a regular job. She used to babysit some kids that we knew.
Oh, okay.
Families we knew.
Right. But you lived in Bountiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I rode the train into
And
Salt Lake.
and you got
to
your
the university.
and you got your degree,
Yeah.
right? And when was Grant born? Was Grant born in Bountiful?
Where was Grant born? My memory's fading me.
You don't remember?
I can't remember.
But you graduated from the University of Utah, and then you moved to Oregon, right? And that's where we started our lives in Oregon, right?
I belong to the. This is crazy. I was served in the Navy during the war years and after, and then now to earn a few extra bucks, I joined the Army Reserve.
That's awesome, Dad.
And the Army Reserve had summer camp at Fort Lewis in Washington.
Oh.
And that's how I became acquainted with the beautiful Northwest.
Oh, and you just got hooked.
And when it came time to move, we just kind of fell in love with the Northwest.
Well, Daddy, if you had a choice between Oregon and Washington, San Diego, Mississippi, and Minnesota, I'm glad you picked Oregon. Of course, San Diego would have been nice. Yeah, I sure like San Diego. Where did you and Grandma go on your honeymoon, Daddy?
We went to Grand Canyon.
We're in the Grand Canyon.
Went down southern Utah and then down into the Grand Canyon, the North Rim.
What did Grandma think of the Grand? Had you been down there before? Had you been down in southern Utah before?
I was trying to remember. I don't think so.
Oh, really? Oh, I love southern Utah. It's beautiful. Did you drive down there in a car or did you take a train down? Do you remember? Did you guys have a car back then when you were married?
Yeah, we did have a car. It was a 39 Chevy.
That's awesome. Probably weighed 8 tons. It was good American steel, huh? Good night. Those cars were unbeatable. You could never beat them.
But we, on our honeymoon, we drove down to the north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome, Daddy. Well, Daddy, I'm going to send this to my children and let them hear about their grandfather and his amazing service in the Navy, his amazing service as a missionary from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where he was honorable and where he met his amazing wife and mother and grandmother and great-grandmother, and who we miss dearly. And Daddy, thank you. I love you. And I'm glad that we were able to share this time together, and I hope my kids will enjoy this.
Oh.
Love you, Daddy.